Hi, hello, welcome to the podcast. I'm Brian. That's Tyler over there, and oh, well, you can't see where I'm pointing. That's Nora too,
Yeah, Nora's over
and
here.
yeah,
Tiffany's
and
over yon.
Over yawn.
what are we talking about? We're talking about pet peeves, costuming, and makeup.
Yeah, this is part 2 of an unknown part series. Part 1 was pet peeves over actors and staff. And this week we thought we would kind of switch gears to the next category if we're looking at our review system, for example. And we talk about costuming and makeup. There is a lot of things with costumes and makeup that just drive us up the wall. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We polled some of the audience, got some feedback from you guys, the listeners, as well as chipped in some of our own, and should be a pretty good show.
Yeah, I think so. And real quick before we begin, haunt season is quickly approaching, so make sure you head over to the Haunted Attraction Network, check out their podcast. You might hear some of us. You could hear some of us here too.
You can hear some of us here.
Preferably if this is the place where you hear us. Also, Tyler and Nora are making changes to the Haunt Directory every day, and so if you see something that's wrong or needs to be updated or whatever, please reach out to one of them or one of us. You can find me on Facebook at Team Skelligore Reviews. You can find Tiffany at Team Terror Techies. And yeah, I mean, just send emails, bug us on social media or something.
You can find Nora and I. Right. Yeah, you can find Nora and I at Team Zombillies on Facebook or at The Scare Factor directly at The Scare Factor. If you are a haunted house and you're wanting to make a change to your listing or add a listing, you can do so by clicking the Contact tab at the top of thescarefactor.com, and we can get your information from there.
So costuming and makeup. So I did a little tidying up of the list here. And when it comes to costuming, it seems like there are two main subcategories that really irk people. Basic black and misplaced or misdressed characters. So real quick, everybody here knows what basic black is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for anybody listening that doesn't know what basic black is, this is a theater thing. Where it means like everything that you're wearing that can be seen needs to be black. And if it helps you, underwear too.
Don't want to see your whitey tighties when we're in the haunted house.
We don't want to, but if it helps you, like, just kind of remember that everything needs to be black, go for it.
Now, if you're the kind of character that wears your whitey tighties on the outside of your drawers, then there may not be a whole lot we can do for you on that one. But for most of us that wear our whitey tighties underneath, hide them or wear black. Keep it simple.
So on that note of basic black and making sure you're wearing black whitey tighties, and the name doesn't really work when they're black.
It's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. So what are we talking about there? We're talking about like bright colored shoes, white, yellow, orange, like whatever hideous, stupid thing your favorite athlete is wearing. Don't wear that in a haunted house.
Don't do it.
Don't do it because you know what? There's black lights all over the place, and those are going to light up like the sun.
Yes, they are. The most common thing I can think of is like, just for example, some weird ghostly or priesty kind of guy that's just wearing a black cloak, one of the real thin satin silk type of cloaks, you know, just super, super thin, and then they got these white tennis shoes sticking out from underneath of them. It's like, what are you doing?
Or my favorite is when they're wearing that super thin cloak, but like they've got a white t-shirt on underneath.
Yes. And you can see it under. Yeah,
oh,
it's so thin you can see through it. Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah, I mean, like, and that's the other thing too, is like, don't wear a plain white t-shirt. Again, basic black. If you're gonna wear a t-shirt, that's fine. I worked in a haunt. Like, I wore t-shirts under my costume all the time because I would die otherwise.
Right. Probably got to have some kind of buffer between you and the actual costume, right?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, because like I wore a heavy coat like you wouldn't have seen it anyway, but like nipple chafing is real, right? So yeah, I mean, like go to if you're a haunt actor and you're like, I don't know where to get a black T-shirt, go to Walmart. They sell the 3-pack of Hanes T-shirts. They sell them in black. That's where I got mine.
They're like $5.99, super cheap.
Yeah, they're stupid cheap.
And like some of them, well, there's another one here on this category that kind of goes along with that, but like some actors are wearing like their haunt T-shirts. They're branded with the Haunts logo and all that stuff. And
Brian's growling.
We're already getting some growls on that one. But some of them will take those shirts and turn them inside out. Cool. At least it's an attempt to be black, but like we can still see where it was heat pressed to the shirt, and it's like almost cheaper looking when it's inside out. I don't know.
The only time that actually works where you turn it inside out is if you've got something just heavy enough that blocks it out, right?
Yeah.
So like if we really only need to see the collar of the T-shirt you're wearing underneath, like that's probably fine.
Sure.
But yeah, anything more than that, like just go buy. They're for real, like they're really cheap. I think I bought mine for like $5, and I wear them every day to work too. I wear them as undershirts.
Mm-hmm. And if for some reason you absolutely can't do that, and you're stuck with a white shirt, don't keep it clean. Depending on your character, most haunt characters are not 100% clean, and if they are, they're layered. So go dig a hole outside and drag it through it or something. Drag it through some mud. Drag it through whatever you can find that just makes it not look like a plain white T-shirt.
Go pick a fight with the biggest guy on the cast.
He'll help you get it dirtied up.
Yeah, right. Like he'll help you get it dirtied up and bloodied up. I mean, that's a win-win. And also don't go to Hot Topic. Well, Hot Topic doesn't really sell Trip anymore, but like the point still stands. Don't go buy these clothes that have spikes and chains all over the place unless it really, really, really fits your character. Now, my character was the exception to this. The coat I wear, it's a floor-length duster. It's like, I don't know what you'd call it. It's not denim. It's like a cotton blend. It's Trip branded.
Mm-hmm.
But it worked because like the only thing on there that was not black were some metal eyelets on some straps that happened to be on there. But we remedied that by putting a little black duct tape. You never knew the difference.
Right.
Yeah, so don't wear clean clothes. Don't wear generic clothes. Make sure they're black and not like looking like street clothes, because you're not supposed to be a street character unless you're a victim. But there's still some things that need to be done to bring home the fact that you're an actor in a haunted house and not just somebody from another group that is trying to pull a fast one and get some scares on the group behind them or something. I don't know, but yeah, you're a professional actor in a haunted house. Look professional and put some effort into the clothing for sure.
Mm-hmm. And another one brought up under this subcategory is obviously Halloween store-bought costumes. So like if you go to Spirit and buy a costume and you just wear it into the haunt like that, we would recommend putting some of your own characteristics into the costume. Customize it as much as possible. We're not saying don't go to the store and buy a costume. We're just saying if you are going to do that, please try to make yours look as different as everyone else's as you can.
That one is there are exceptions to that one. Again, I've gone to Spirit and bought I don't know, they're like the long skeleton hands, right? Like you can just use those right out of the box, as it were. Like there are some things you can get away with on that, but it's not just anything.
Yeah, we always try to Frankenstein those type of costumes. So say if you get a clown costume, we would buy like 3 or 4 different versions of clown costumes from like Spirit, and then normally figure out a way to sew it, hot glue it, safety pin it, rip it up, tear it up, dirty it up type of thing. But yeah, we kind of had our cast help with a lot of that stuff like off season for us. Mostly because it is kind of like one of those challenges of, we only had one costume director person, and having them like develop so many costumes or have to sew custom costumes was like a really tall ask. But being able to customize it kind of fits into all of that, of where it's not something that you could buy directly from Spirit. it's a amalgamation of 4 different things that you bought from Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely customize anything you get that's store-bought. I mean, even things you're buying custom, if you can customize it further, by all means. It really helps it become a unique piece.
Absolutely. And us reviewers can pick that shit out.
Yes, we can, because we've seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
So the other subcategory here under costuming is misplaced and misdressed characters. So what do I mean by misplaced? It's Jason, but he's, not in the lake. He's not in the cabin. He's not carrying the machete.
He's writhing around upside down on the bed in the Exorcist scene.
Yeah, and he's got a chainsaw,
Yeah.
Yeah, it just, it doesn't.
It just
There were
doesn't
decisions
work.
that were made there. A decision was made to make this happen, and it obviously didn't pass through enough people.
Don't put Jason on the Exorcist bed.
Yeah, and you know what I mean by misdressed is kind of what I'm talking about there, right? It's Jason with a chainsaw, right? You're giving a character the wrong prop, or you're just not putting the right costume on the right character. Actors who are talking through a latex mask without a moving mouth, right?
Oh, this is my favorite.
Yeah, so like if you have a character that's supposed to talk and give some sort of line of dialogue, maybe put them in a costume that facilitates that.
Don't put him in a latex mask or even a silicone mask that has like a covered mouth, because they always talk like this and you can't understand a fucking thing that they're fucking saying, and they're yelling at you as you're going through this thing and you can't fucking understand what they're saying. Get out! Get out! Get out! Just get out.
Oh man, you committed so many sins in that one little bit there.
I did.
You said get out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So get out, you're fired.
It's kind of on the same level as wearing
Saying
the mask with the obstruction, and you can't understand. Yeah, it's a no. Just don't do it.
That was great, by the way.
I've practiced doing that a few times before.
Yeah, and just in general, like costumes that aren't matching their scene or theme. It's like I said, it's Jason in the clown room. It's Jason in the Exorcist scene. It's characters that aren't in the right place.
Another little saying we've got here is cowboys don't have lasers.
That's true.
It's kind of it's like keep saying Jason with the chainsaw. Certain things belong to different iconic characters for sure. Now, should you be using iconic characters? That's an entirely different discussion. There's copyright laws and blah, blah, blah. But there are haunts out there that use them very well. And normally they're very true to those original characters. Now, there is rumor on the street that this is being recorded in late August of 2021, and we haven't seen the new Friday the 13th movie, but there's talk that Jason might have a chainsaw in this movie, and if so, then this whole Jason with the chainsaw thing, I still don't know if it's going to go out the window, because Jason's just a machete guy. It's kind of like Michael. He's got the big kitchen knife.
Only heard that from people and haven't looked it up anywhere to see if it's actually
Yeah.
true. So
Totally
I have no
not
idea.
fact checked. Do not
No.
trust anything that we say on this show. But
I don't know. I'm probably not even gonna go see it anyway. Like, my favorite Jason movie is the first one, and like, God, I can't do it. I can't do this whole series anymore. It's become a money grab at this point. That's all it is. You were talking about, should you do licensed characters? Really, it comes down to the show that you're running and the people that are coming to see it. I think for the most part, the general public loves to see that sort of shit. As reviewers, not so much. We don't really, could you do something original, please? But, that's what it comes down to, unless, of course, you're the one haunt in upstate New York that gets Tony Moran to show up in costume.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's probably got a license to use that costume. But
I don't know the legality on it, but if you have the original actor in the costume, I think you're allowed to use it.
There's got to be something there, yeah.
just on a moral high ground, right? We could talk about should original haunts use licensed characters or not. I think that is the one case where an original haunt is allowed to use a licensed character so long as the original actor is playing it.
Right.
And then we
Not
just have the
official
miscellaneous
advice.
stuff. Yeah, I don't just me personally. I think that's where the line should be drawn.
Yeah.
And so now we have miscellaneous stuff, and this is just odd things that didn't fit in the other two. Like if you're wearing a mask, tuck it into your shirt or your jacket or just your costume top as much as possible. I know it's not always a possibility, but
Keep the sweat within your costume.
it's not even that. It looks so.
It does look horrible.
It looks so lazy, right? It's like you slapped it on and ran into your scene. Like, did you not show up 20 minutes before you were supposed to be in your scene and get dressed? Like,
It's kind of like firefighters, and Brian, you can probably appreciate this. There's a buddy system. The actors and at least firefighters anyway, they would check themselves. Before they go into a house, they make sure their hood's on right and their helmet's on right and the buckles are clipped and the air mask is all sealed. And all, have somebody check out your costume before you go into the scene. Hey, do I look all right? Oh shit, your mask is untucked. Tuck that shit. Pick up your shirt and put it back inside and make it right again. But
yeah, right. I mean, in the military, we call them battle buddies, but as long as you employ that buddy system to some degree, I think it works way better than just making everybody accountable for themselves, right? Make everybody accountable for someone else. So that way, when you match up with your buddy and you go, oh, your mask is untucked, and then they tell you your boots are untied, and you're like, you got to zip that thing up, right? You're noticing things about the other because you know what that other character should look like.
it's like trusting people to put their carts back at Walmart.
Oh, forget it. That's never going to work.
You've got to have those people running around making sure the carts get back where they're supposed to go. When you're at a haunted house, you got to have somebody making sure your masks are tucked in.
There is a YouTube channel that I learned about today. It's called the Cart Narcs, and it's this guy who is like really corny, but he will like harass you about not putting your cart back.
Oh, wow.
And like, oh god, I always put my cart back, but I'm just waiting to see this guy get decked because he pissed off the wrong person.
Right. So the next
I
topic,
digress, though.
Right. Next topic would be not wearing a shirt at all.
And the note here says this is seen on clowns and hillbillies for the most part.
For the most part.
I kind of get it with the hillbillies, right? Because think about your stereotypical hillbilly character, right? It's a skinny old guy with a gray beard, a straw hat, and he's wearing overalls with no shirt, and he's got no shoes on either.
One of the straps is
and he's
hanging
talking
down.
about yep, and he's always talking about howdy y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of get it with hillbillies. If you're really trying to go for a stereotypical character there, all right, it's understandable.
You can at least put one of the white little jersey, for lack of a better word, wife beaters on. Some type of,
or grunge on your
grunge.
skin.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The not having a shirt is a bad thing when you don't have anything to substitute it with except your birthday suit. Put some blood and grunge, something on there to make you look scarier than just yourself.
Yeah, and I think the point really is just don't make it look like you stepped right out of the shower, which, by the way, you totally should be showering every night before you work in a haunt.
Uh-huh. If that goes bad enough, I mean, I acknowledge that it can become part of the costume and part of the look, but it's not the correct way to do it.
We don't want to smell that look if we can help it.
I want to see the look. If you can achieve it in a way of using makeup and other techniques, I'm all for it. But please don't go the all natural look. No, it doesn't work. It smells awful.
It's not a good film.
Now the clown thing, I don't get this. Like, I've seen it. I understand why it's on the list here, but like, why?
I don't know.
Like, it's not sexy stripper clown hour.
No, I think it's because they're probably some of the most energetic actors at haunts, so they build up some body heat and like at least in our area, a lot of them are opening up in mid to early September when it's still pretty freaking warm outside. So
Yeah.
they're probably just trying to keep cool. I get it, but no, not good for the costuming department.
Yeah, and I think
I
the
understand it.
other thing like that might be to it or something is one is the energy type of thing, but the other one is there's something to be said about like the incomplete clown look. Think like a la Joker. There's a lot of like, we haven't gone into makeup quite yet, so I won't really go into that whole rant, but it's that things just like kind of slapped on, or like kind of like victim clowns. So it's like people who were made into clowns that are not actually a clown type of thing. And I think that's why you do see clowns with that, because they tend to be just like, oh yeah, like whatever. And if you don't have like necessarily a shirt, or the shirts that you have available are only the clean ones that we mentioned is a cardinal sin. Yeah. Shirtless clowns.
Shirtless all the way.
And I think too, like the other unsaid rule of this is if you're going to have a shirtless clown or a shirtless character, otherwise, like, all right, fine, whatever. At least make them something worth looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody, not even a straight guy, wants to see, the big fat guy who's got body hair from head to toe looking like Bigfoot walking around with no shirt on. Like, nobody wants to see it.
He's got his sweater vest on.
Yeah, right, But as a comfortably straight male, like, I'm okay with a guy who goes to the gym every day and he's walking around without a shirt on. Like, if I looked like that, I'd want to show it off too.
Right. But still, time and place. Haunted house is like,
But haunted houses don't want to make you feel comfortable either, so...
Yeah, their job should be to take you out of your comfort zone, Brian.
That's true, and I'm a big proponent of haunts pushing that boundary, because there's too many haunts that I've seen locally that are trying to be too, inclusive to the whole family, right? Like, yes, it's scary, there's the jump scares, and it's not something you'd bring little kids to, but, like, they're trying to be more inclusive to the young teenagers, and they don't want you to have to answer these questions about, Mommy, what's that man doing? Meanwhile, the teenage brother's giggling because he knows exactly what that man is doing. He does it furiously 8 to 10 times a day.
Oh my
Wow.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand why they're not super uncomfortable, but I wish I'd see it a little more. That's all.
All right, so the next one would be when the body build of the person doesn't match the character being portrayed. For example, a male horror slasher icon being played by a well-endowed woman. For example,
I don't hate this one.
I see your point. However,
I don't hate this one, but I understand why this is a pet peeve.
Right. So the first example that comes to my mind is we went to this haunted farm. Obviously won't say the name or where it was, but there was a Michael Myers character. It was about Nora's height, about 5 foot tall, weighed probably 300 to 400 pounds, and wore at least an E-cut bra.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And not saying that women can't play male characters and male can't play
it's
females,
not
nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's more of the build. Like, if you are a larger woman and can, more so hide your boobs with, like, larger costuming and whatnot, so we can not tell that you're a female because Michael is a male character, then it's more believable.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see this and you're at a haunted house, it just kind of takes you out of the immersion of it because you're like, that's not right.
Yeah, I think the other thing, too, on that is, like, if you're doing, for example, the iconic character, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, whoever it might be, like, you have an image in your head of what that character already looks like. And So like you think about Michael Myers. What does Michael Myers look like? If you had to describe what that character looks like, you'd probably say something like it's a guy and he's really tall and he's pretty lean, right? He's not a stocky kind of fat guy. He's a tall, well-built kind of guy, right? So if you're going to have Michael Myers in your show, you need somebody that looks like Tony Moran walking around.
Mm-hmm.
You need that person who's tall and lean, whereas if you have, let's say you have a very short, petite female, well, guess what? Now you can get that very short, petite female to ride a little tricycle and be Billy from the Saw movies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, it's all about just knowing, like, what characters you have and what those characters should look like, and not just being like, oh, well, you really love this character, so I'm going to let you have it. Like,
right.
Mm-hmm. And we also understand that the average haunt goer that gets terrified running through a haunted house probably doesn't have time to look to see that Michael has boobs. They just scream and run.
That's the other thing too. Is like the average haunt goer doesn't really care. They're like, oh man, Michael Myers was so good, and you're like, but Michael Myers was a 5'2", 400-pound woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't tell. I just saw the white mask. Yeah, I can get where that could definitely be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a haunt reviewer podcast,
right?
We consider ourselves the haunt connoisseurs. So yeah, we're gonna look at a little more detailed stuff than that.
Yes, Buffy, bring me more blood. I need to drink more blood before I go to the haunted house. Buffy, bring the Mercedes around. I need to run some people over. I need more props.
When we didn't actually have this one mentioned, but when we read this last one, it came to mind when the body build doesn't match the character, also when the costumes don't actually fit the characters. And we know it's sometimes impossible, but when we see that going through a live haunt and somebody's either just like swimming in their mask or costume, it's like, whoa, what's going on there?
It's like a well-tailored suit, right? It should look good on the person wearing it.
Look good in a bad/good sort of way, haunty sort of way.
So I think that's about it for costumes.
Which brings us to the makeup category.
Yeah, we're going to move into makeup now. And so these aren't really categorized because none of them really fit. There's no real point because we don't have as many here.
It's just makeup stuff.
Yeah, just in general. So, if you're going to wear a mask, make sure you put some, blackout makeup around your eyes, your mouth, whatever's going to be visible through that mask.
Or something that matches the mask as much as possible, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of odd seeing a nice, grungy, gory, or super well-detailed mask, and then you see this pink skin underneath of there. And it's like, oh yeah, that's not real, you know?
We see this a lot in promo videos and pictures.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are they doing? If it's like, obviously Michael or something that it's a horror icon, you got to do what you got to do. But when it's something that you may not want the customers to know it's a mask because you want us to believe in that character, then yeah, blend it in.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to actually reapply throughout the night. Because I know particularly those silicone masks, you're sweating a lot underneath that thing. And depending on what type of makeup, whether it be airbrush, blend, AA, you wouldn't have AAs near your eye generally, but if you have grease paint on there or something, you're going to sweat it off. And so, particularly making a point of that's something that you have to check. So we kind of mentioned it earlier with having that check buddy. So I understand you're probably not going on break with your check buddy, but just going back and making it a point to be are my eyes good? Are my eyes good? Can you see me? No? Cool. And then disappearing back into the house.
Well, what also helps too is if you have a dedicated restroom for actors to use, during the show, because it happens, if your actors are doing it right, they're drinking a lot of water. And if they're drinking a lot of water, they have to pee. So, it helps to have a station that they have to go past before going back in to stop and look in a mirror and answer the question, do I still look good?
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea,
If
having
the
a
answer-
mirror.
And
that
if the answer
just-
is no, then like do what you got to do, fix it up. But at least give them the opportunity to see their face.
Yeah, there were some hunts that had been like behind the scenes. They have like for lack of better terms, like those really cheap hand mirrors, like probably cost like $2 at the dollar store or whatever. And they have them like nailed to like different parts of the wall backstage. And generally it's like right before you go out into like the show itself. And so I always thought that was like a really cool idea. Like I understand why you wouldn't have a lot of them for fear of them getting broken or whatever, but those small ones, I mean, just being able to look at that underneath whatever lighting is in the house is really kind of convenient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought of having mirrors stationed outside of the makeup room, just in normal common areas for just random spot checks. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense too, especially if you've got a lot of makeup characters going by. Mask characters, if it's late enough in the night, nobody really cares that much. But people who have very visible makeup, it needs to be seen. It needs to be right all night. And on the other side of this is going overboard with makeup and doing the raccoon eyes, right? And you're not blending it properly, and it's not looking correct.
Solid black eyes around the eyeballs, and then like ghost face outside of that.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a skull or something, maybe, I don't know, but you can tell when it's just really blocky, and it honestly looks like maybe a 4-year-old did it, and maybe a 4-year-old did do it. Maybe they got some kids helping them out. If it's maybe a lower budget haunt or something, I don't know, but yeah, it's very obvious when not a skilled makeup artist has done some coon eyes.
Yeah. I will say, though, that my child can do some very scary looking makeup, and it's only because she lacks experience.
Oh, real quick, before we get too far from having the makeup under the mask, it's not just the mask thing, too. It's any kind of bare skin, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, like your arms, your hands, the backs of your fingers. We've seen a lot of actors just use gloves that helps with that. Like if you wear a full sleeve costume, just put on some gloves, and that covers your entire hand pretty quick. That's a good chance to put like some clickers or something on your fingers too, get some extra scares. That's totally a missed opportunity by a lot of folks.
So do you guys notice actors like teeth?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Like, do you pay attention to that?
When we can see them, yes.
Yeah, that's a really huge thing I mean, a lot of people have very nice dental care, and serial killers and murderers and crazy, in your face haunted house actor character type things are not supposed to have nice pearly gorgeous teeth that they have. And it's one of those like weird things that's really off-putting for me, but I'm a teeth person.
Usually we see a lot of black or yellow, like the horribly cigarette tarred.
Yeah.
So I know you can get both of those to paint your teeth. You
can get browns.
Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of the black where they like spit it, but I would say I can't think of a time where anybody with like really white teeth has blatantly stood out to me. Like I've seen them through silicone masks, but other than that, I think they're either wearing like dental distortions or we just don't see them at all.
If one of them does have really white teeth or something, they're probably moving their head around so fast that you really can't even get a good look at them anyway. They're somebody that, yeah.
I'm going to be paying way more attention to them now. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, now that you say it, right?
Smile at me.
Yep.
Well, I think of it like more as like line characters, your barkers, like ones that have a lot of FaceTime with you. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of talking to them anyway. And yeah, I've definitely encountered them where they have very nice teeth. And I'm like, wow, I wish I had braces as a kid. And like, it's just really kind of funny because like it fits some of them. Like there was one where the barker was like this, what do you call it? Like a show host type of thing. Mm-hmm. So like it was cheesy and kind of over the top. So it did kind of fit like with that character, but that's like one of very rare instances I could think of where nice pearly white teeth kind of fit in with a character that has a lot of face time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about these characters that have a lot of face time. One of the things here is having super duper high quality theater and screen ready costumes and makeup in your Q actors, but then you go into the show and it's like the Spirit fashion show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Eh,
lead you on
like-
and then don't follow through.
Like, I get it. I understand this one completely. This is the one I think that irritates me the least. Because think about it. You have guests who are showing up on property and they're talking to these characters who are out mingling amongst them. They're taking selfies. You're going to see these characters from every possible angle, whether you like it or not. And they have to look amazing in every angle. They have to look amazing in every way. So, like your actor that's in the back and isn't really seen from any other angle other than the front.
And you're not supposed to
they
have
don't-
cameras and stuff while you're in the haunt, so
That's true too, right? Like if you have somebody who's in the back and they're only seen from one angle and in very specific lighting, like I get it, I understand it, and I understand why you would want to put your best looking characters outside, but maybe try to bring the average up a little bit.
yeah. It also is kind of disappointing a little bit from the customer's perspective when you do see all these great looking guys outside in the queue line, and then you get inside and you've got your black cloaks and your coon eyes and a little bit of blood smeared on the face, and it's like, oh, this isn't actually what everybody looks like. I don't know. It's or maybe it's just me because we're snobby reviewers. I don't know, but
It's mostly that.
it's mostly that. Yeah.
It's mostly that, but yeah, I mean, like, I'd imagine there's some people in the general public that are like, wow, man, those people that we were taking pictures with outside, like, they looked great, and then we went into the haunted house, and they looked like shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I would think some people pick up.
I think people notice it, but, like, they don't care as much, because, when you go into the show, for, I think, a lot of people, it's more quantity over quality.
Yeah.
So the more scares you can get is probably more valuable to a lot of people than the quality of the scare.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of topics or conversations can be had on that topic.
Yeah, I'm
That'll
just
be
thinking-
for one of our future episodes when we talk about our pet peeves for the scare factor.
Yeah, I'm thinking of kind of just like how this topic could like deviate so much, because there's stuff that we talked about as like review teams and stuff like that of having Q actors that aren't necessarily represented in the haunt, not only in costume and makeup, but I meant if you have like this hero character that's used for promotions, but they never appear at all, type of thing.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Actually, Tyler, Nora, and I went to a haunted house in Buffalo, and I mean, we saw that exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like you showed up to this place, and all of their advertising were these incredible looking actors, or characters at least. And I'm talking full body suits that were custom made, and like I'm like, man, I want to see these guys. I want to take pictures with them. I want to just see them in action. I'd love to see all that. And then you go in, and it's like, yeah, they have some good looking characters that are mingling in the queue lines, but they weren't those actors. They weren't those characters.
Right.
They weren't anything close to those.
Yeah, we see a few like video promos, like for some of the haunts, it almost looks like they use the same promo company or something, but like they'll all have the same actors and just change the haunt logo on the video. And it's like, I know you all aren't using this exact same actor, in the same.
Well, I
same,
can tell you,
yeah.
most of those haunts are using the same website template because they're all going through the same website builder.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
guys know that one more than I do because you guys see a whole shit ton of them. But
Mm-hmm. And although this stuff might work really well and customers don't pay much attention, how do we know they won't in 5 to 10 years?
Right.
What if they start getting pickier because the prices of haunts just continue to rise and they do want high quality stuff all the way through,
It's tough to build your unique story at your haunt with somebody else's characters. But We digress yet again. Um,
Sorry.
no, it's all part of it.
We didn't talk about the blood.
The blood.
Ooh, the blood.
Blood.
Yeah, we had this comment probably more than any on costuming, saying that people like to just add blood and add blood and add blood, and they think all they need is blood.
When in doubt, more blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, like, blood does kind of fix a lot of things. It's kind of like the duct tape of the haunt world, but yeah, there's so many situations where it's applied and it was never needed in the first place.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Or it looks fake. That's probably my biggest one. I don't mind seeing it, but
And
make
you
it
can
look
tell
as real as
somebody-
possible.
Yeah, when you can tell somebody finger painted it on your face,
Mm-hmm.
it's not done correctly. Blood's for wounds. Blood is for, splatter, where if you've just beaten somebody over the head with an axe, yeah, you're going to get some blowback from that. Do some splatters, do a little bit of runny stuff out of your ears or your eyes or whatever makes sense, but just globbing it or smearing it on your face with your hands, it's kind
I think-
of fake.
One of the worst ones to see is when they have blood all over like their shirt, like the fake looking stage blood, and then their skin is clean.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's the
this-
thing that bugs me.
The thing that actually bothers me, and I notice it, but again, it's having background in makeup, and I look for it specifically, is what you were talking about is they're covered head to toe in blood, which is horrible to put an actor in anyway, but I digress. It's when their costume turns pink,
Mm-hmm.
I get really violently upset. Like,
Violently upset.
because it's so easy. You just have to add other colors into your blood mix, or just don't use that brand of blood that you're using, that type of thing.
Don't you usually just put like darker colors into it?
You add browns into it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because blood's going to dry darker anyway, and depending on where they are in the house, I mean, maybe it's not even the red color that they're looking for. Like, that's the whole like old cinema trick of like, oh, you could use chocolate syrup and stuff. I mean, that kind of goes a long way of just if you need roughed up type of woundy kind of things, but yeah, it's kind of like weird, like, I don't know, there's different schools of thought as into kind of like blood coloration, but I've definitely like been in a position when I was acting and performing that they ran out of time to do everybody's makeup, so everybody got the Carrie treatment. Like, literally bucket on the blood over the head, and then we had to march like 2-3 hours in a parade. It was great.
Oh.
Like,
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, that doesn't sound great at all. That sounds awful. And also on the note of blood, as an actor who's been covered in it several times, please, 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 for the love of God, do not cover your actors in corn syrup blood. It is the worst sensation on earth. I would rather gouge my eyeballs out with a rusty spoon and use the blood that flows from my eye sockets as the effect, rather than cover myself in corn syrup.
Good old
I have a
Cairo.
t-shirt. I have a t-shirt, so in the off season, I would, with some of the other haunt actors, we would do training with EMS and firefighters and police officers, and we'd basically be victims of like a mass shooting or an accident scene or something. Basically what they needed was people who were comfortable being covered in blood and could kind of play the part. And so one of the ones we did for some EMTs was we went to their I don't know what you'd call it, their station, and we went out into their parking lot. They were actually having a class at the time. The students did not know that this was going to happen. They didn't know that they were going to be training in this way this night. And so we went out there and we got all covered. I got all covered in blood. I say we, it was me. And I laid down on the ground. The whole idea was my throat had been slashed with a knife. And so the two other actors that were there with me, both very loud women, then proceeded to get into a screaming match with each other. It was all very believable. I feel like they had some issues they needed to work out. But like one of them had like a stage knife, like you couldn't even hurt yourself with this thing if you tried, but it looked real enough. And so she's holding this thing and she's waving it around wildly, and they're screaming at each other. The other girl's like, "What'd you do, my boyfriend? Blah 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 blah." This, that, the other, right? And I'm laying on the ground gurgling because like I'm supposed to be choking on my own blood here. And so, of course, like the teacher of the class knew what was going on. Like they knew that this was going on that night. And so like, hold on, I think I hear something outside. Let me see what the hell's going on. And so like they stick their head out, and so like they get the whole class to come out and like deal with this. And so like it was, part of it was like, how do you triage what's going on here, right? Because you have a guy who's laying on the ground with his throat slashed. Obviously, he should be one of your top priorities. You have somebody who's been cut up pretty badly with a knife, but it's not life-threatening. Mm-hmm. And you have crazy people who are, tempers are flaring up and emotions are all over the place. How do you deal with this? So it was actually a lot of fun, but the problem was I got covered in corn syrup blood. And let me tell you something about corn syrup blood. You ever use corn syrup to cook or make anything? You know what one of its primary characteristics is?
Stickiness. It's sticky.
It is sticky as fuck.
Yeah.
So I have a t-shirt that the t-shirt I was wearing, it is covered. It is permanently stained because of this. Mm-hmm. The other fun thing was we did run through another scenario that night, and I decided after they had taken me over by the ambulance to, triage and, do whatever treatment they were going to do. When they weren't looking, I got up and I took off running. And so that kind of became my thing in future trainings was the woman who was in charge of training. She'd come over to me when she saw that I was alone. She'd be like, take off running at some point. And I'm like, you got it. And so like they had to chase me down.
With your throat slit.
Well, yeah, I mean, that one time it was like my throat had been slit, but like the whole idea was, okay, his throat's not slit anymore. It's a different injury.
Gotcha.
That was the second scenario, but, future trainings from that where, maybe I was the aggressor, or whatever the case may have been. It was always about, it was always, I forget what her name was. Super nice. She'd always come over. She'd be like, hey, can you just disappear? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And so it became a thing where, the EMTs would then have to come find me, and they'd have to convince me to come back, and I wouldn't do it unless they promised to bribe me with drugs. It was great.
Just say, if you don't put any syrup on me, I'll do whatever.
Yeah, right. It was like, we did one, it was like a car crash, and I took off running. I just went back over by my car, and I just sat on the trunk of my car. And like they came over, and they're like, hey, how you doing, buddy? And I'm like, I'm doing all right. Why, did you need something? They're like, yeah, could you come over? We need to check you out, make sure you're okay. I'm like, nah, I don't think you do. They're like, yeah, I think we do. And I'm like, I think I'm not coming over there unless you got some really good drugs. And they're like, we got ketamine. And I'm like, how much ketamine do you have?
Oh my gosh.
So like my whole deal became like the drug addict who would only go along as if he was promised a lot of drugs.
Right.
It was great, we had a lot of fun.
Alrighty, so does anybody have any other peeves they would like to throw in, or not questions, but comments?
Please don't ever cover your actors in corn syrup.
Say no to Cairo.
And I'm telling you, it is the easiest thing to make, too. It's corn syrup and red food coloring. That's it.
No! That's not how you make
Not
it!
Not just red. You gotta put in the darker.
Yeah, a little black. A little black goes a long way in that. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, like, that's it. It's corn syrup
Tiffany's
and food
like,
dye.
no!
No.
Tiffany, do you have any...
What do you put in there?
Do I have what?
Put in there?
Yeah, what do you put in it?
So I made a whole bunch of it for actually a movie set. So I take, corn syrup, because this was supposed to be edible blood, and it was, food coloring, but red, blue, and yellow. And then chocolate powder, like cocoa powder. And then also adding cornstarch to make it like thicker so it's not like as translucent. And then you kind of, it's called blender blood, so you like heat it up so everything kind of like blends together in the blender, and then
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it would taste
Well-
great.
yeah, it kind of does.
It doesn't.
It
doesn't.
does.
Brian says it doesn't.
It doesn't. I got some of this shit in my mouth once. It's not good.
Maybe you got a bad recipe, Brian.
Corn syrup just in general tastes awful.
Yeah,
Just
my
on
joke,
its own is no.
my joke is that my blood tastes kind of like what do you call it? Red velvet cakes. So that
okay.
chocolate sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sounds glorious.
Yep.
be a lot better than the stuff I had to eat. Nope,
All
I
right.
much prefer being a reviewer these days because I like staying clean.
Right?
We
It
don't
does have
really
its
stay
perks.
cleaned, though.
I'm cleaner than some actors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I shower before I go to see a show.
At least we don't get bloody every night.
That's true.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
poor Susie on our Terror Town YouTube video.
Oh gosh, she got it bad. Have you guys had a chance to watch it yet?
Nope.
I don't think so.
But, yeah.
It got loaded today.
Yeah.
So
It's they put her in the stockades and covered her in blood and water and ice and just about anything they could get their hands on. It was not a good day for her.
they're one of those haunts that sells ponchos because, they're going to rain your clothes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll call that the end of this episode. For those of you that are still with us through Brian's car crash, we thank you for listening. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, leave a comment or a review wherever it's applicable to the platform you are listening on. We certainly do appreciate it. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. We are several of the teams going to be posting videos and stuff throughout the season. We'll be getting a lot of them uploaded there, as well as the Scare Factor Facebook page at the Scare Factor. All of the socials. You can follow Brian's team directly at Team Skelegore and Tiffany's team at Team Terror Techies. And we are all over the socials in those places. We thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode. Stay scary.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Halloween. Let's go to a haunted house.
Are there any close to us?
Let me look online and see. The House of Spiders looks cool, and it's only about a 45-minute drive from here. It says it used to be a home haunt, but they've recently expanded into multiple attractions at a new and single location.
That sounds fun. Let's go check it out. Although I am afraid of spiders.
You'll get over it. Well, we're here.
This doesn't really look like a haunted house.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of jack-o'-lanterns and a spooky porch light. Let's see what's inside.
Hello? Can I help you?
Yeah, we're here for the haunted house.
What haunted house? Who are you people?
Is the ticket booth inside? Let's check out this queue area.
Hey, wait. Get out of my house. I'm calling the police.
Wow, this looks like a real house that someone might live in.
The actors are very energetic and seem agitated that we're here.
Hey, look, they've even got laundry scattered all around.
You hear about the home invasion?
Yeah, these people just walked into our house.
This is awesome. You guys look like real cops.
It's because we are real cops, sir. Robo-cops. Why are you in these people's house?
So wait, this isn't the House of Spiders?
Oh, geez, not another one. The House of Spiders isn't here anymore. They moved to a warehouse across town.
Uh-oh. Looks like someone didn't update their information.
Don't be like the House of Spiders. Update your haunt's information today, and when you do, send it on over to thescarefactor.com as well. Not listed yet? Directory listings are 100% free and always will be. There's no limit to how much information you can provide. You can add or update your listing by emailing your info to thescarefactor@gmail.com or visiting the Contact tab at the top of the website. That's thescarefactor.com. That's thescarefactor.com. Because finding haunts near you shouldn't have to be scary too.